Thanks. Let's see. Well, welcome back, everyone. We're starting the process of getting back. As I said in the chat, I don't really have any major topics, but was just looking for what was on people's minds, and we have a couple things on the agenda here. I don't know who. I'm going to guess it was Gabriel, but I'm not. I don't know that he's on yet.
Yeah, it's me. It was me.
Yeah. Before we get to those, I just, Daph, I see you're here. I know you had made some progress. If you could just give us a quick update.
Yeah, I was under the impression that Jenkins, the FOSSA and reuse were happy. Am I wrong?
They were working at some point, and then they stopped working like 2 weeks ago, basically. Kind of like week of December 22nd, somewhere at the middle of the week or something like that. That's when I first noticed that these actions start failing.
Again, okay. I'll double check them.
Yeah, the issue that
I thought was working stopped.
Say it one more time.
Hopefully, something that I thought was working stopped.
Yeah, it was it was working at some point. So they were failing like by the kind of like Thanksgiving time frame, and then they were working again, and then they stopped working like 2 weeks ago. And the message that Jenkins says that something did an unauthorized script or something like that. That's the message that Jenkins shows on there. I send you a message through Slack, and I point you to a few of the examples. But basically, it's failing in all of the SD core repos. It's failing with the kind of similar message.
Okay, I'll double check. Let me work on them.
So,
okay.
Daph,
yeah.
Can you summarize what I was after? Was also you have resynced Jenkins with CI management?
Yes. Let's see. For those who aren't aware, we have automatic jobs that build the jobs. That kind of broke about 3 months ago. I got that working shortly, sometime around the 18th, 19th, and rebuilt all the jobs based on the automatic regeneration. And looks like some of the SD core ones weren't, it looks like now. But basically, we're back in sync where any modifications to jobs should be done in the code as opposed to manually in the Jenkins UI.
All right, so that's good now, and maybe this is approximately the same time that verification started working and then maybe stopped. So onto that, that was just an FYI. Onto the Gabriel's issue. So it's no longer working. You've proposed moving it to FOSSA to GitHub, or you just wanted to raise the issue here?
No. Well, there are two things. One is the issue itself, right? So at this moment, last week, I was working with Ajay in several PRs, but we basically got blocked because of these two Jenkins jobs that were not working. So which is the FOSSA verification and the license verification, right? So that's one thing. A separate thing is that, last week, basically, we were not able to do much besides, going through the repo to the PRs, approve some of them, but we couldn't kind of continue with that. Basically, we got blocked. So the other point is, with the canonical team, at least Guilherme had been opening several PRs to move kind of like several actions into GitHub. So basically, some Jenkins jobs are basically being done on GitHub Actions. And there, basically, in our case, at least as a developer or end user, makes things simpler for us. So we don't get blocked on Jenkins because we have no visibility on that. So if we can move the FOSSA verification and license verification into GitHub Actions, it's going to make things easier for us. So that's kind of like two different things. One is we are blocked now right now, and the other thing would be a good thing to move to GitHub. Makes things easier for us.
So what would it take to do that? That
So
you couldn't do?
say it one more time.
What quote unquote privileged action would that require that you can't just do it
With Jenkins?
with GitHub?
Oh, with GitHub is with GitHub, GitHub or GitHub Actions. Just to kind of, I want to clarify. I properly understand your question. I don't quite follow.
All right, so I certainly get the motivation that you sort of control your own fate. Each development team controls their own fate if they can edit GitHub appropriately to do whatever it is they want to do with GitHub Actions. And the part of the problem here is simply access to Jenkins to make a fix if something broke. You have to depend on somebody else to do it.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Is that the main thing, or?
In general, partially is a important thing, but the other thing is that, again, in our case, we know that by the way, the other issue that I faced it was by kind of Thanksgiving timeframe that I was kind of reviewing several PRs, is that in Jenkins, to kind of execute this FOSA verification or the license verification, my understanding is that there is a virtual machine be deployed in AWS infrastructure. And then after this VM is deployed, then the Jenkins job runs in there, and then we get some output, right? So based on what I saw that time, each of these tasks take like 15 to 30 minutes to complete, because most of the time is just waiting to build this VM.
Yeah.
So in GitHub Actions is something that is already there, and we don't have to wait that long just to kind of have one action completed. So depending on the kind of action, it could be like a few seconds or a few minutes. So, but that's the other thing that makes things simpler or easier. So, if you want to merge and review, so you basically merge one PR, the GitHub Actions are going to run, and you don't have to wait like 15, 30 minutes until the next Jenkins job is completed to be able to actually merge the next one. So you have this long waiting time for, I believe, it's not much reason. So it's not efficient from that perspective.
Yeah, so quick update on that. What's happening is it takes time to load the VM and get SSH connections. We can eliminate that entire wait time, which runs between 3 and 5 minutes, depending on stuff, by keeping a machine up and running, up and available all the time. We don't, because then you're paying for 24 hours a day instead of the hour and a half instead.
Yes.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, because you're going to be paying for something that is not going to be used. So, and that's from that perspective, what you at some point, I remember in the past you mentioned that the project itself has a given number of free minutes for GitHub Actions.
Yes. I don't remember the number offhand, but yes, it does.
Yeah, because
not
that would be
a project, but an organization.
Yeah, because that would be something that we, at least GitHub Actions, you don't have to kind of, if there is not too many like reviews or too many GitHub Actions running, probably that would be a quicker way to go with. So moving to GitHub Actions, if we stay under this limit, we're good, and we don't have to have a VM built all the time, or we don't have to wait like 15, 30 minutes just to kind of build a single action that I know that is working properly, but it takes a lot of time to just wait for that.
There's also the maintenance question. Like, you may not want to maintain servers and update them and everything. Like, GitHub will do this for you if you just use the runners.
Yep. And also we have lots we already have lots of GitHub Actions, right? So in the repos, and the issue comes that there is only these two actions that are running, or these two jobs that are running on Jenkins. That everything else is already running on GitHub as a GitHub Actions. Sorry.
Very true.
So just to fill in a gap in my understanding, suppose you went ahead and did these two actions on SD core, what would, try to phrase this in a way that makes sense. Can you just ignore Jenkins? What's the actual blocker on your just going ahead and doing that?
Well, yeah, that is an alternative that we were kind of talking with Ajay last week to see, this is a blocker for now, we can just remove it, but there are two important things that it would be good. So in our case, we are contributing continuously within the project, so we know how to handle the license verification and a few things, right? But if there is new developers contributing new code, it would be good to always have the FOSA, at least the FOSA and the license verification running in there, right?
Well, I guess if we set up GitHub Actions to do the FOSS and the reuse, you can't ignore Jenkins because right now the hooks require the Jenkins test to pass. We'd have to disable those and require the GitHub Actions to pass. So there'd be 2 steps involved.
Okay.
But as Gabriel says, we don't want to just ignore FOSSA and reuse.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's what I was trying to understand is where that dependency on the Jenkins job is baked into GitHub?
No, that should be just configured. I guess that should be in the settings repo, in the settings of the repo itself. Correct me, please, Daffy, if I'm wrong. But that should be just a setting on the repo itself.
Okay, thanks. So the question I raised is sort of related, which is it makes sense to do that here. There are other Jenkins jobs more broadly, and I'm just a little nervous about leaving this convoluted trail behind us where some things happen in GitHubs and some things happen in Jenkins. And certainly as you migrate from one to the other, you can be in this intermediate state where there's a combination of both, but it would be good to view this as the first step in completely cutting the Jenkins dependency, if that's the right thing to do. Have you thought about that, Gabriel?
Say one more time, please. I got a little bit lost.
There's still other stuff that happens in Jenkins, other dependencies they're in the CI pipeline.
Okay.
Now, it may be the case that they're entirely related to Helm versioning, and you're entirely focused on individual Docker containers.
Well, here we are actually talking about the source code itself, right?
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is there are a set of jobs that run when different actions take place, and having those split between Jenkins jobs and GitHub Actions seems risky.
Well, I have no visibility on what is actually running on Jenkins. So the only visibility I have, at least from the source code perspective, I see these 2 Jenkins jobs running. So I have no idea whether there is something beyond that is running, that is linked to the repo, to this source code itself.
Well, it has to, at some level it's there, and I'm just not quite exactly sure where the dependencies are, but everything having to do with publishing new containers and publishing Helm charts is still in Jenkins.
Are you sure? Because we have the Docker push, everything is in GitHub Actions already, at least for the SD core.
What about for Helm?
No, we're not talking about Helm. So we're not touching Helm at the moment.
Right, but it's those SD core actions on the SD core source code to generate Docker containers,
Yes.
publish them, and include them in Helm charts, which also then get published.
Oh,
I'm just looking at it from an end-to-end perspective. Are we going to end up in a state where half of the end-to-end job happens in one place and half of it in another? And can we think through how to unify that eventually?
Well, again, at the moment, I don't have full visibility into that because, again, the other thing that I was kind of suggesting, at least last year, was to move the Helm charts from Gerrit into GitHub, and then we can also have some type of GitHub Actions. But the full, how all the different steps are happening with Jenkins, I have no visibility into that, so I don't know what exactly is.
I was
what's
just looking to
happening there.
see if, so this is related to the issue Canonical raised as to wanting to know what the release processes were, of which there is a beginning of a doc. The Helm charts are definitely in Garrett. And Helm chart release is and I'm pretty sure that's managed by the CI management repo.
Yeah, if you look in the Jenkins views, there's SD Core CI post merge that has a number of SD Core Jenkins jobs that publish various Docker files, Docker containers.
What was the
SD Core,
again?
the CI. CI, yeah, CI post merge. It's
I see it.
from there.
Fine. Did I get the right one?
Yep.
A lot of failing jobs. Publish, GitHub merge.
But there the
Clearly nothing's passed recently.
and the AMF says that it's successful like 11 months ago, right? The first one that you have in the in there, it says doc publish git merge AMF.
Yeah, these are not. Yeah, that's a great point. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, this gets back to what this gets back to the meta issue that I'm mostly concerned about, and I understand I'm expanding, Gabriel, what you're talking about to encompass something bigger and more complicated, and we shouldn't let that stop us from doing the obvious things that you're suggesting. But there's lots more to the entire CI pipeline that is now going to end up even more fragmented and convoluted. And I'm not sure what to do about that exactly. What about the CI post merge? Or pre-merge, I'm sorry. Not much better there.
Yep.
All right, maybe we've beaten this to death. So let's just go back to this. Is there any objection to setting up these management or these actions and disabling or the dependent, turning off the dependency on Jenkins?
Yeah, no real objection. I'll just note everything's working now. We've figured out and put it in. But I do think it makes more sense to be quick and fast with these. These should not require developers to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially, for example, there are some PRs that are, I know that there is no, it's just dependency update. That should be really quick. Just test that everything is working fine, move to the next one. But again, because of how Jenkins deploys these VMs, it takes, again, 15 to 30 minutes just for something that I know that it should be pretty quick, right? So, yeah.
I think if you and AJ in particular are, want to see this happen, that you should go ahead and make it happen.
Yes. So again, based on last week that we got blocked, so we were even thinking on disabling that so we can start we can keep moving forward. But right now, yeah, as Duff indicated, yeah, the Jenkins jobs are back. Start merging a few PRs, but it would be great. It would be good to kind of move into the other thing based on the Slack kind of like messages that I share. Ajay is fine. At least I also had a couple calls with him. That's fine. But yeah, if you want through the TST, you can see whether there is any real reason for not to do this. But to me, it seems pretty obvious.
Yeah.
The only thing that I need, at least from DAF, I do need help in FOSA because we need to create push-only API token. So for Fossa, and then of course I haven't tested Fossa because I do have created one GitHub action for Fossa, but I haven't tested because I don't have this push only API to be able to truly test the GitHub action is properly working.
We should be able to just use the same one Jenkins uses. I can just give you that.
No. Just in this case, so basically, I send the documentation, the details through the Slack channel, the Aether TST channel.
Okay, yeah.
The Fossa team basically they recommend to create. So it's not the actual key that you have or you should use for Fossa. This is just a specific key that is only used for
Okay,
push only APIs because this is visible to anyone, right? So it's not hidden.
If you're putting in get it, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the difference that we need to take into account. But I send you the message through the Aether TST channel.
Okay. Yeah, I see it now. Sorry, was not up to date on that.
All right, that's good. So issues with Jenkins on the second bullet.
Yeah, so last week I was also reviewing several the status of the rig and the rock. So basically the repos that are part of the ONOS project project itself in GitHub. And then I was trying to kind of merge several PRs that are dependency updates and a few things. And I noticed that in several of those PRs that are open, they have this status showing that make test, which is the only Jenkins job that is being executed in those repos. It shows that the status that indicates expected, waiting for a status to be reported, and it just stays there. It doesn't do anything. So this would be this is something that I mentioned also in I think last TST meeting. We have a colleague we are working on kind of updating all these GitHub actions or converting, not converting, because the only Jenkins job that is this make test, which what it does is builds the code, checks the link, checks the license, and runs the unit test. So it does like the 4 or 5 things together as a single test target. So what we're doing is we're creating these GitHub actions and a clean way, like the Canonical team did in the SD core, to also have have those repos updated as well. So last week I was kind of reviewing several PRs that were open for quite some time. I noticed this issue that basically just stays there.
The only make test jobs I see halting are verify ONOS docs. Can you give me another job that you see, Buster?
Oh, sure. Give me 1 sec. Let's see. If you go into the ONOS docs, both PRs are in that state. ONOS Rig SDK Go is in that state. ONOS Config, there are several PRs that are in same state. Let me keep going through these.
Okay.
Run simulator as well. There are a few that fail because of lint or some other things which makes that is expected, but there's lots of ones that are not actually because of that. So ONO C2T as well is kind of same issue. SD core adapter, yeah, SD core adapter as well.
Okay, that should give me enough.
Okay. By the way, so would it be good as well if we kind of move this to whatever it is on the ONOS project? So repos related to the SD core, sorry, to the rock and to the rig into GitHub Actions. Is any opposition, or are we good if we do that?
I'm not sure I understand what you just asked.
Oh, basically doing the same thing that we're doing in the SD core.
Okay.
Moving into GitHub Actions, the all the different checks that we have for the rock and the rig repos.
He's just raising the point that everything he said before about SD4 applies
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't.
So let's, yeah, I mean, let's make progress on core and then come back and visit this one. I think you're probably right.
Oh wait,
Make sure we understand all the implications of doing that with the core.
Okay. Probably before we move, Ajay is here. So in the case, if you want also any comments regarding what we discussed of moving FOSA and license verification to GitHub Actions. So we can close on that and,
Thanks, Gabriel. So you already told DAF, right? The various issues we are seeing.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, DAF, if you can help us in unlocking few commits, right? So
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
so
block and reuse are
it
clear
is-
now, but we're looking at other things.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is fixed now. I started merging a few PRs already.
Okay.
But my general comment was that Larry was indicating, to see if there is any opposition on moving the FOSA verification and the license verification to GitHub Actions instead of having it in Jenkins.
No, I think if we can make it work with the GitHub action, that's great, right?
Mhm.
As long as I believe FOSA had some, FOSA is not free thing, right?
Yep.
So can we use it from the GitHub action?
Yes, we can use it on the GitHub Actions, but we need to create only push a token to be used. So in FOSA, I understand that FOSA, when you log into FOSA, you are able to create a push only token, and that's the token that we need to put it on the GitHub action to make it work.
Okay. And Larry, they are maybe DAF, like this is still applicable when we move the like things under the Linux Foundation. FOSA tool is still applicable.
Well, I don't know specifically. Daph, do you know of any issues that?
We haven't talked explicitly, but are you saying whether we should run FOSA tests or whether we
I mean,
can?
whether they have any alternative, and does it make sense to move to that alternative immediately, or you want to
That specific I
something.
don't know, but FOSA is likely to still be used.
Yeah,
But-
so let's
Okay.
put the one caveat on this,
Yep.
which is it kind of depends on a tiny bit on what LF is. We'll maybe just verify.
Yeah.
And considering that DAP has it working again, it's not, at least we're not in a blocking state. If we
Okay.
verify that this still makes sense under the LF umbrella, then surely go ahead.
Yeah, but the one thing to consider, now it's working. The only thing is that, the last 2 months we have been blocked twice already. So that's kind of the thing.
Oh, yeah, I just can't, and Daph, maybe your basic opinion is there's no issue here, but
the only issue is the time to switch to GitHub Actions. We got the VM now in AWS, but we need to make sure that the machine supporting by GitHub Actions can do the same thing. That's how long that takes.
Yeah, for the license is pretty straightforward. That is not an issue. The only thing, again, I don't have visibility at the moment, is to test the FOSA verification because I don't have this push only token. That's the only thing. But as soon as, if you can help me with that, I can give it a try, because I already have a GitHub action for one repo. I don't remember whether it's the EMF or the SMF, but I already have one template that could be used for the rest of the repos. So.
Okay, you guys don't have admin privileges in those repos?
Which repos?
The ones, I mean, the SD core repos. I assume that.
No, I don't have. At least if I want to see the settings tab, I don't have visibility into that.
Okay. Should we change that?
Probably not. I'm good so far. I mean,
Okay.
I don't have any need. I mean,
Yeah, I
Simply
think
point
it's
out the
yeah,
corollary.
yeah, I think it's better not to be given to many. But I
exactly.
think that whether like the place where we can work and quickly close the gaps between the inconsistency among multiple repos. I think that's where we can sit and we can tell you all the issues if you can fix those things quickly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but we
Yes.
don't want to have that admin access. I mean,
Okay.
worst case, if you want to provide us access, maybe like force push if that option, like that too through the web interface, some commit if you want to push. But
Right.
otherwise,
Okay.
I think it's better not to give.
Yeah, I fully agree with Ajay. So
Okay.
having this force push, it would be great in case that it's only needed, but in general, no need for us to have admin.
Okay. Oh, where am I going? Yeah, Dr. Go. I think. Okay, so it's happened. So for the guys who are wondering, the big issue is that when we did the automatic, there must have been a typo in a couple things. And right now it's looking for machines that don't exist. So I screwed up someplace in the configuration files for those files. These are the make test things. I need to fix that. I thought it, no, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, and the other part is also related to what Ajay indicated. Just kind of, if you can go over the SD core repos and make sure that all of them have the same settings, that would be great, because I'm looking at the MongoDB library repo. That one, someone can merge PRs without actually requesting a review, or without having an approval.
Okay, can you send me or point me at an explicit list of what you consider the SD core repos?
Say it one more time. What?
Can you send me or point me at a list of what you consider the precise SD core repos?
I can do that.
Yes, that would be
I
better.
mean,
I mean, I don't
it
have that
was
much
there
historical
on the
background.
yeah, it was there on the SD core wiki, but I believe that wiki doesn't exist now, right? So
Unfortunately,
yeah, I can give you the list of
right.
repositories.
Thank you. Okay, that's what I need to.
Okay, let's go to the QA topic. Oh, crap. Just a second. All right. QA.
Yeah, Larry. So we were working on extending UE ransom configuration to also install IPUF client and an IPUF server. So on UE ransom, we are running an IPUF client, and we have tried connecting it to the IPUF server, but which is located outside out of this machine, and it's a different VM. So we are seeing the similar issue that we were getting earlier, resource unreachable. So we have already raised an issue with ESNet on IPUF repo for this issue, and we have seen some previously reported issues as well. So I am working with David from IPUF 3 team, and he's directing me towards what all things needs to be checked. However, we have not seen this issue with non-dockerized or non-containerized UE ransom. So we are in discussion with them whether it is due to the containerization or not. The next thing we were working on is CI management for Ether on RAM Jenkins jobs. So we did a POC because earlier with Ether CI management, we were using JJB, just Jenkins job builder. So we did a POC on JJB, but for that we might need more access on Jenkins. Jenkins CLI would be really helpful for us. So that's why we just did it on our local Jenkins server, and we found that we can create some YAML files to uh, create jobs, and the way it was earlier working with Ether CI management.
So you need access to the Jenkins API.
Jenkins CLI.
I've seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
That's on the ONF Jenkins.
Mhm. So I have a query regarding this. Should we continue with the way Ether CI management is currently working, or the Ether CI management repo usually works with JJB? However, last time we talked about this, we talked on the Jenkins file thing, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
right now for your jobs, they're still manual.
Yes.
What I've done is shifted everything else to JJB, and now we need to convert your jobs into JJB, I believe. I'd prefer to,
Right, that's the objective here.
right. We have not done that yet. So I'll be
Right.
working with you guys tightly on shifting things into the JJB mechanism.
So please do coordinate with DAF. Second point is, I would argue, let's go ahead and put these JJB specs in a new Ether Jenkins repo and not the old CI management repo on Garrett.
An
Does that make sense to you or not?
issue with that is then we have to do some complicated duplication because the JJB YAML files that specify a particular test are really only variable files that get plowed into the standard JJB environment. So what we'll be doing is taking the current Ether CI management, telling it to go read the template files in the other repo for this. If that
All
makes
right, as long as I think ultimately we're gonna get migrated out of Garrett. I was just gonna skip a step, but maybe that's not.
Well, I mean,
This is
migrating
all
out there is
isolated
not
to
a-
on-ramp, first of all. And so I was thinking that having a Jenkins repo, JJB related repo as part of, sitting side by side with all the other on-ramp repos would be a place to start, but I think I understand your point about the complication.
Yeah, give me some time to look into how hard it'd be to duplicate the framework. I don't think it would be a problem. It does make things cleaner long term. So I need to ponder. Sorry. It'd be good to keep the separation if we can, because it is. Never mind. I'm babbling. I need a day to think about it and look at stuff.
But for POC purposes, you're fine.
Yeah. Yes. Current immediate needs. Yeah.
Okay, and just everyone understands the context. This is for the on-ramp tests.
Yeah. So from the last point, I got a query regarding our Ether system test repo, whether it is also going to be, shifted to GitHub, or
It's down on
after
it's fairly far down on the to-do list. The jobs in system tests that are being used now are pretty thin, I believe. The one that we definitely want to revive is the API tests, but those are not running now, as far as I know. So what was the specific query?
Regarding whether these are also going to move from Gerrit to GitHub. As we see, Aether CI management is going to move towards GitHub. So, is there a plan to?
There's no plan. I think long-term it's the right thing to do, but we don't have a specific plan in place yet.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, thanks, everybody.
That's
Bye.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
thank you.
Bye.